Morning. Welcome to Monday Moments with Fran. It is great to see you today. I am so delighted to have a very special guest with me, but I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be here. My name's Mary Robinson.
Great. So good to have you, Mary. And so today we are going to be talking about life scripts. So it may be a term you've never heard of, or it may be a term that you are familiar with. But today we really want to share an encouragement around this incredible concept. So, firstly, Mary, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I'm a counsellor. I've been a counsellor for coming up to 3 to 4 years now. Can't remember. It's just blown. It's just blown so fast. So yes. So my kind of passion, and always been a passion, is to support people to maximise their full potential, to find out what their purpose is, and to live the best version of themselves. So that's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. I can personally vouch for Mary. I've known her many years, and I've also been privileged enough to work alongside her and see some of the impact of the work that she does. So she is really the best person to be bringing this area to Monday Moments today. So, Mary, please can you sort of describe what a life script is?
Okay. So as I said, in my field and in my work, I see a lot of people who want to make changes in their lives around their professional career, around relationships, intimate relationships, family dynamics, but they get stuck, and that's why they approach me for my service. The reason why I believe that people get stuck is because they have a life script that they're not aware of, and these life scripts become our narrative, and they actually form during our childhood. They can be formed before that in our mother's womb, be very turmoil pregnancy, if it was a mum was sick or there was violence in that relationship. Life scripts are formed from there. The brain is an amazing organ. The way that it's been created, it's like it records everything that we go through. But there is hope because you can erase that script. But those scripts, if I give an example of how a script is formed, and I'm not saying that this is the outcome for every person that goes through this, but just to give an example, so you could have a child growing up in a household where mom and dad has really struggled to make ends meet, and all this child sees is mom crying or dad working all day and coming home, not really having any family time. So that child's script is oh, I'm going to have to work really hard to live and have life. There's no fun, and there's no family, there's not time for that. So that child has already got this script in his head. It doesn't matter how old that child is, it's picking up the script from that time that they've seen, or the experience that they've seen. So this child now grows up, goes through school, very successful, very professional, because that child has worked and worked and worked. But then he has no relationships.
Sure.
He has no social life, no leisure life. So he's very successful, got everything that he wants, but there's no family, there's no relationships. And can you think about the end of that person's life? It's very lonely, and he hasn't really achieved his purpose because he's just worked through that script, which wasn't his narrative in the first place. It's just something that he took on. And then you can have the other side of that script where someone's had that same experience and thought, I'm going to work hard, but I'm going to be successful. So that's what I said. It's not necessarily those outcomes. I was just giving you an example of that script. And then if you think about it, can you imagine, Fran, those script plans your life plan. So you could, whatever you've gone through as a child, you've adopted all these scripts like, I've got to work hard, I can't have no fun. You've actually planned out your life plan because you don't realize that you're working with those scripts. So you're going through lives that people are coming in your life and saying, oh, let's do this together. You're like, no, I've got this goal and I've got to meet this goal. So so that's why in a therapy situation, you have to sit, you don't even have to be in a therapy situation. You have to sit and really reflect, what are my scripts? What scripts am I working from? What narrative have I built up in my life that I'm working from. And when you get stuck and think, well, why isn't it the way that I want it to be? What script am I working from that's not mine? So as I said, these narratives can be adjusted and they can change. They're not your narrative.
Wow. Just like a whole teaching right there. Incredible. So it sounds like this is a very, would you say, unconscious, um, almost like inner, like, yes, scripted, but it's an unconscious thing. It's not like we sit and think and say, well, actually, I'm going to make this decision because this is what I believe, but it's become a part of us. So it's just, again, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is, and it's so natural because you just because you've just been working with it all your life. It's just a natural process until somebody comes and challenges that script. I mean, one of my scripts, I'll be personal, one of my scripts, which I didn't know, but as I was looking around, researching around this subject, one of my life scripts was that I didn't think that I could ever be loved, but I didn't know I had that life script. So that impacted on the relationships that I got involved in. So if you said, "Oh, Mary, you know what? No one normally says I want to be your friend," but people would come into my life and they obviously wanted to be part of my life, but I would sabotage that relationship because my life script says I'm unlovable. And that's because scripts that I picked up as a child. So I was working with those scripts, not realizing how they were sabotaging all my relationships, every relationship, intimate relationship. I had this bar, this wall that was there. And it's only until I got the revelation to say, you've got this script, that I went, oh my gosh. And then I started to work through that script.
Sure, sure. That is so powerful. And I feel like today, maybe if you're listening, this could be an answer or a solution to a question that you've had burning on the inside. Like, why can't things change? Why am I the way I am? Why do things always follow a certain pattern? And maybe that's because you have a life script that has been dictating a certain pattern or a certain, like we use the word narrative to you, that you didn't even realize. And I think it's so powerful because, like you said, you can unpick it, you can work through it, and we understand that change is possible. You know, in coaching we use this unconscious conscious model where we look at how do we bring things to our attention, or how do we bring things to our conscious state so we can effect a change. And I love that that is so possible. So thank you so much for sharing, and also sharing your own story and how it's impacted you and your life. And definitely want to encourage people, if you want to know more or you want to get involved, or even possibly work with Mary, you know, drop me a DM or a message or an email. I can, you know, share her contact details with you. But what would be like an encouragement to anybody who is watching and would like to consider, what could be their first step, let me say instead, to change or shift this narrative?
Okay, and before I answer that question, I just had another great example
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
life script, if I can just share. So a lot of the people that I work with, it's normally around relationships, and poor relationships. And so you've got a woman, and she was in an abusive relationship, and she's exited out of that relationship quite safely, but then ends up in the same relationship, but it's in a different format. So the first one could be very quite physically abusive, but the second one again entered back into one, but it's probably emotionally more abusive or controlling. So it's still the same type of relationship, and that's because that script that that lady may be carrying is, well, I do deserve love, but I'm scared of that love, so I'm just going to enter into another relationship that makes me feel safe, because it's safe. That script makes you feel safe. That's been your coping mechanism for so long, so it makes you feel safe. So you go into another relationship, but you're not going to be vulnerable because it's not safe to be vulnerable. I don't know if that makes sense. So the cycle of relationships just continue on. You leave that one and you go to another one. It's still abusive, but it's in different formats. So it's important that we identify these scripts to break these cycles.
Love it.
So based on what you can do, you can either go to therapy and you can either explore where your life is and where you want to be and what are the barriers. So then you can actually identify some of your core beliefs that has been adopted by these scripts. Or you can do one of the things that I know Fran does very well is a vision board. And a vision board is an amazing thing to do because you're actually digging, you get actually connecting with that true voice, that inner voice. So you put in a vision board, you're not there yet, but you're actually prophesying what your narrative is going to be. So I say vision boards, Fran, I think you do the best vision board workshops. I think those are practical ways of one, acknowledging your life script and changing it, and also just reflecting on your thoughts, like how many of us sit and think about, oh, look at an area that's not quite where you want it to be, and really explore it, like really pull it apart and think, well, why isn't it where I want it to be? What have I done wrong? And look at that journey. And as you look at that journey, then you will identify those thoughts and those scripts that you've adopted that you need to change.
It's so powerful. Do you know what? I feel like now when I talk about vision boards, I'm gonna incorporate how a life script impacts that. And I'm just reflecting on my own journey. And I shared quite publicly that up until last year, I had never completed a book that I'd started. And I've now completed 3 books that, in complete published format. And so, yeah, that the narrative, and it was on my vision board. I had books, I had author of the month, I had writer, I had all these terms to define what I wanted in the future. And so, yeah, that is so, so powerful. So I definitely feel that people can be encouraged today that they can change their cycle, they can break out of these negative cycles and patterns, and they can develop a positive and healthy life script that's going to be more purposeful and more life-giving for themselves.
Definitely. I believe that we're not living to our full potential. I think we're designed for so much more, and these life-limiting life scripts, they need to go in order for us to be who we're created to be in the first place.
Fantastic. So, so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing, Mary. It's been lovely to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, guys. So as always, don't forget to encourage somebody else. Have a fantastic week, and I shall see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.